6 hours last night, but no better way to beat the Dodgers than coming from behind in the 9th and in the 15th innings. Back at it tonight, game 2 of this 3-game series. Zach Godley faces LA ace Clayton Kershaw. It's the D-backs and the Dodgers, round 2 on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthiaume and Bob Brenly along the way. Game 2, D-backs and Dodgers tonight, as the Diamondbacks try and make it 2 in a row against Los Angeles, but they'll do it without Jake Lamb. Jake, Bob, on the 10-day DL with a left shoulder sprain.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks sound pretty optimistic that it'll only be 10 days. We certainly hope so. Jake Lamb's bat is an important part of this offense. Initially injured it on that diving play in foul territory, made a tremendous play with the exaggerated pull shift on that to cover a lot of ground, and then re-aggravated it sliding into home plate head first right there. You can see the concern of Alex Avila immediately calling for a trainer to come out of the Diamondbacks dugout.
Zach Godley gets the baseball tonight for the Diamondbacks, his first start this year.
Zach Godley had a really good Cactus League in 5 starts in spring training, pitched a total of 20 1/3, gave up only 9 hits. He faced the Dodgers last year in NLDS Game 1, pitched 5 innings of relief, struck out 5 Dodgers.
Let's do it again, D-backs and Dodgers. First pitch is on the way on Fox Sports Arizona. D-backs baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By APS. APS works 24/7 to keep you plugged in, powered up, and connected. By Gila River Hotels and Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up for the card today. And by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. Is brought to you by Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. By Santan Ford. We are Santan Ford. By Arizona Tire Pros. Everything rotates around you. And by Jack in the Box. This season, D-backs home runs score free jumbo jacks only at Jack in the Box. Some sensational snapshots from last night's thriller here at Chase Field. We're all open up for business. The D-backs and the Dodgers. Zach Godley against Clayton Kershaw. First pitch is coming up on Fox Sports Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona. Partly cloudy, very comfortable 84 degrees. Roof and outfield panels wide open. We're set to go. The D-backs and the Dodgers. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly, and Kate Longworth along the way. D-backs have now won, dating back to last year, 7 straight regular season games against the Dodgers. That's only one short of the club record.
None more remarkable than that one last night. It looked like the Dodgers are going to win that game a couple of times, and the Diamondbacks just refused to quit. And you know the man coming out of the dugout right now isn't going to quit.
Look out for the bull. Let's take a look at the lineup he'll face tonight for the Dodgers. That's presented by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Chris Taylor out in center field will lead it off, followed by Corey Seager at shortstop. Yasiel Puig out in right field. Cody Bellinger will be at first base. Matt Kemp, nice sliding catch out in the corner last night in left field. Kike Hernandez getting the start at second base tonight. Logan Forsythe at third. Austin Barnes behind the plate, and left-hander Clayton Kershaw on the mound.
For the D-backs, your Ram truck starting pitcher is Zach Godley, 27-year-old right-hander. Zach, in the words of his skipper Torey Lovullo, was the D-backs staff savior last season as Godley set career highs in starts, wins, innings, and strikeouts.
Yeah, you see his numbers last season. He was especially good against the Dodgers in 8 games. 4 of those starts, he held this lineup to a .226 batting average. Everybody that's on the roster position player-wise for the Dodgers, 17 for 75 combined against Godley.
And Zach looked tremendous this spring. E.D. Marshall Jewelers gives us a look around the diamond at the D-backs defense.
Chris Owens, last night's hero, one of last night's heroes, out in right field again. A.J. Pollock in center. David Peralta in left. Devin Marrero getting the first shot at third base, replacing Jake Lamb. Ketel Marte slides over to shortstop tonight. No Nick Ahmed. Daniel Descalso at second base. Paul Goldschmidt at first, with John Ryan Murphy behind the plate for the Bulls. Zach Godley.
Calling the balls and strikes tonight is the crew chief, Jerry Davis. Mark Carlson is the first base umpire. Brian Knight at second, and Pat Hoberg at third. A perfect night for baseball in downtown Phoenix, and we're set to go. The D-backs and the Dodgers, Kershaw and Godley. While we have a minute here, let's take a look at your Valley Honda dealers. Key to the game.
Well, we'd like to see a repeat performance of what the Diamondbacks offense was able to do against Kershaw last year in the postseason. Gave up 4 runs in 6 1/3.
4 home runs against Clayton Kershaw in that postseason game. Chris Taylor leads it off, the center fielder. Back at it after a 5-hour and 45-minute game last night. There's strike one to Taylor, who was 1 for 5. 5 for 20 on the year. Breaking ball from Godley. Quickly, it's 0-2.
That's that wicked curveball, and you will see a bunch of them. He threw 852 curveballs last year. Only Rich Hill of the Dodgers threw more curveballs than Zach Godley.
John Ryan Murphy back there tonight. Is there a way to quantify, Bob, what a difference that curveball made for Zach Godley last year?
It just kept getting better, too. That's the thing. Zach had that pitch in his arsenal, but it just every outing got a little sharper and a little sharper, and he threw it a little harder, had better command of it. I was amazed with the progression as a hitter. Good luck.
Missed with it that time, just below the knees, and it's 1-2 on Taylor.
I mean, the curveball will get a lot of attention because he throws so many of them, but he's got an above average fastball. He's got a cut fastball that works really well for him into the left-handed hitters.
Taylor dunks that into left field, a leadoff single. That'll bring up Corey Seager, the shortstop.
Shortstop, number 5, Corey Seager.
Seager, 4 hits and 18 at bats to open the season, all singles. He played the entire game at shortstop last night, singled 3 times and walked. That one skips by Murphy. A fastball gets to the backstop, and Taylor moves up 90 feet. I was looking at a list, Bob, going through the box score last night of who did play the entire game. Both catchers.
Yeah.
Grandal and Avila, neither guy in the lineup tonight.
They're still in bed.
As well they should be.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a cross up or the pitch just moved a different direction than John Ryan Murphy was expecting. It should have been caught.
1-0 on Seager.
Seager's one of the Dodger hitters that's had real problems with Zach Godley. Corey Seager's a pretty accomplished hitter, but 1 for 11 lifetime. That's an .091 batting average.
Let's keep that going. One of the things that Torey Lovullo was really impressed by Zach Godley's performance was the way he just pounded the strike zone with all his pitches this spring. Now it's Cactus League, granted, but he worked just over 20 innings, had 19 strikeouts and a 2.21 ERA. Tried the curveball. Seager didn't bite. 2-2. You know they got to be up there looking for that curveball.
Well, at least it's in the back of their minds. With 2 strikes, you can't really afford to look for one particular pitch, but Godley's established a reputation as being a guy that will go to his breaking ball a lot, so you can expect opposing teams to start looking for it a little bit more when they have favorable counts.
Swing and a miss. Got the curveball that time. 1 away.
Right fielder, number 66, Yasiel Puig.
So a hanger right there. That pitch was up and out over the plate. Seager with a big home run swing in the 2-strike count. Came up empty.
The usual welcome for Yasiel Puig. Just 4 for 21 to start the year. Last night he singled. He was 1 for 8, but made a pair of superb defensive plays in right field. Taylor at second and 1 out.
You know, that's one area of Puig's game that in my eyes has really improved is his throwing. You may recall his first couple years, he was just as likely to throw it in the stands as he was to hit a cutoff man. He'd throw balls up the backstop behind home plate, but over time they've kind of controlled that awesome throwing arm that he has, and he's made some really good throws already this year.
Bounced up the middle. Descalso is there. Taylor advances. They retire Puig for the second out. Cody Bellinger. Bellinger 300 on the year with a homer. A 4-hit night last night, all singles. D-backs will put the shift on. Marte, Descalso, Goldie all on the right-hand side of the infield. Marrero near the bag at third. First pitch fastball, and it's 0-1. Among Bellinger's 4 hits last night, the single in the top of the 15th. He scored what was then the go-ahead run on Utley's RBI hit, made it 7-6 LA. D-backs answered with 2 in the home half. Won at 8-7. Had a floating cutter above the strike zone, and Zach's ahead 0-2.
Maybe got under that one just a little bit. Didn't have that movement into the left-handed hitter, but effective nonetheless.
Nationwide Vision Centers gives us an eye on the game. There's the defense. He's got him set up for that curveball if he wants it. That was it right there. Just got a piece. That, as we mentioned last night, was Bellinger's kryptonite in the postseason last year. A whole lot of strikeouts against the Astros in the World Series. He punched out 17 times in 28 at bats. A lot of breaking balls down and away. Elevates that time. He lays off a ball and 2 strikes. High in the air, center field for AJ. Look out for the ball. He strands the leadoff single. D-backs coming up against Clayton Kershaw. A Ram truck starter for LA is the lefty Clayton Kershaw. Now 30 years old, he lost at home against the Giants in their season opener. Despite allowing only 1 run in 6 innings, he had 7 strikeouts as numbers last year.
That was his 8th consecutive opening day start for the Dodgers, the most in Dodger history. Don Sutton had 7 consecutive opening day starts. Kershaw fastball, curveball, slider combination. Very unusual delivery. Tough to time him up. Usually the second and third time through the order you have a much better chance of getting to him.
David Peralta gets first crack tonight. David 5 for 18 to start the year. He's also walked 3 times in 4 games from the leadoff spot. David last night 1 for 7. He singled and scored in the 4th against Ryu. Here's the D-backs lineup. Valley Chevy Dealers has that.
Peralta in left, Marte at short, Goldie down at first base. A.J. Pollock will be out in center field with Chris Owings in right, Daniel Descalso at second, Devin Marrero at third base, John Ryan Murphy doing the catching for right-hander Zach Godley.
And if you're just joining us, no Jake Lamb in the lineup tonight. Jake on the 10-day disabled list with a left shoulder sprain. Marrero in at third, the former Sun Devil. Torey Lovello said before the game today he thinks 10 days should be good for Jake. A sprained AC joint in that shoulder. Hopefully not much longer than that. David gets a piece of a fastball. It stays 1-2. So we'll get an extended look, I imagine, over the next few weeks at Devin Marrero.
That could be Devin Marrero on a regular basis. Could be an open door over there. We know Chris Owings played some third base in spring training. He's perfectly capable coming into the infield. You could do some maneuvering with Daniel Descalso, maybe slide him over there against a righty.
Well, it's a big loss. Hopefully Steven Souza Jr. is back soon from his right pec strain. There's Devin Marrero. And one of the heroes from last night, Chris Owings. How about that home run? First pitch from Kenley Jansen. 2 outs, bottom 9, tied up. What a moment. David can't check on the curveball. Goes down swinging. E.D. Marshall Jewelers has a look at the Dodgers defense around the diamond.
Matt Kemp out in left field. Chris Taylor in center. Yasiel Puig over in right field. It'll be Logan Forsythe and Corey Seager on the left side of the infield. Kike Hernandez and Cody Bellinger on the right side. Austin Barnes doing the catching for the lefty Clayton Kershaw.
Ketel Marte, a pair of triples last night. He had 3 hits in the ball game. Tripled in consecutive plate appearances in the 3rd and 4th innings. Little squib shot gets by Kershaw. Hernandez is behind him. And they retire Ketel Marte. Here's Goldie.
First baseman, number 44, Paul Goldschmidt.
You know, Chris Owings got a lot of the credit for tying that ball game up in the bottom of the 9th last night, and rightfully so. But Goldie and A.J. Pollock put together 2 tremendous at bats. With 2 outs in the 9th inning, they took their walks. They knew that even if they hit a solo homer, that wasn't going to do any good. They needed traffic on the bases. They both got on ahead of CO's 3-run homer.
Great point. Goldie's already walked 7 times this year. Looks at a fastball down the middle. He doubled in his first at bat last night. That's still his only hit this year. He's 1 for 12. Although you got to believe, if not for the humidor, Goldie may have ended the game last night with that opposite field shot that Puig caught up against the wall.
I agree with you.
That was in the 14th inning.
They made that familiar Goldie sound. It hit to the area of the ballpark. We know he likes to drive the ball out there toward the pool in right center, and just got out to the warning track and died.
And of course there's no way to quantify that. We can't give you any data, just the way it feels and sounds and looks from up here. 1-2 now. AJ on deck. Fastball's low. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Last time the D-backs faced Clayton Kershaw, game 1 of last season's division series at Dodger Stadium. And the D-backs homered off Kershaw 4 times. Pollock, J.D. Martinez, Marte, and Mathis all took him deep. Kershaw wound up the winning pitcher in that game despite giving up the 4 homers. He gave up 1 home run opening day to the Giants' Joe Panik, and that was the only run of the ball game. Dodgers lost on their opener 1-0. They finally appeal. Mark Carlson says no. Goldie able to check on that slow curveball from Kershaw. Dave Roberts can't believe it.
He's asking, was it outside? Big bending breaking ball started over in that left-handed batter's box. Goldie knew it was going to be close. A little check swing right there, but able to hold up.
Full count, 3-2.
Well, for me, Jerry Davis has traditionally had a pretty small strike zone compared to some of the other umpires, but he felt that breaking ball never got to the corner.
Got a piece of the slider.
Well, you can just see the gears spinning in Goldie's head. You know he's done his homework. He's checked all the advance reports, done his video homework, looked at his at-bats against Clayton Kershaw in the past.
Missed with a fastball. There's another ball 4 for Goldie, and AJ gets a chance.
Center field, number 11, A.J. Pollock.
Pollock doubled twice, walked, scored a run last night. He had an RBI. 6 for 17 to start the year at .353.
8-pitch at bat. It's going to make Kershaw work a little bit harder in this inning. Marte had a quick 1-pitch out, but Goldie works an 8-pitch walk, so the pitch count in the first inning here for Kershaw up to 15.
Mentioned game 1 of that division series last year. This was AJ in the 3rd against Kershaw.
Went down and got it. When you can see AJ motoring around first base, he was not going to take anything for granted. He was going to be on third base if that ball hit the wall and stayed in play.
Well, AJ's got off to a terrific start. He's already hit 3 doubles and a triple this year. He's knocked in 3 runs. And he's walked 3 times in 4 games. Chris Owings waiting for his turn in the on-deck circle. And check on that Kershaw curve, and it's 0-2. Clayton Kershaw, he knows what he's doing out there. Last year 18-4. No pitcher in baseball won more games. And a 2.31 ERA that was the best in the National League. Boy, 0-2 against Kershaw cannot be a comfortable feeling.
There's so many different ways he can go at you. Elevate a fastball, try to paint one of the corners, drop that big slow curve in there, bounce the curve in the dirt. You just really have to try to recognize the pitch as quickly as you can out of his hand and then make the appropriate adjustments even faster. I think he wants to throw the curveball here.
Curveball fouled away, 1-2. Nick Ahmed was quoting A.J. Pollock the other day when asked about the Dodgers coming in here, and Nick was saying that A.J. walks around going, hey, we're not just trying to beat the Dodgers, we're trying to beat everybody. But temperature gets a little warmer when L.A. comes to town.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Last night proved it. And as we learned when we sat down with all the Diamondbacks players in spring training for some interviews, AJ's always right. That's what his teammates say.
Yeah,
He's
well,
never wrong.
There's one on every team.
Just ask him.
We had one when I was managing. Kurt Schilling, ask him anything about any topic and he will give you the word.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
2-2. We'll have, I believe, at some point over the course of this ball game, part of our chats with Zach Godley. As we do every year in spring training, we'll have those for you over the course of the season. Well, they're making Kershaw work, Bob, as you mentioned, now over 20 pitches for the first inning.
That opening day start against the Giants, he averaged about 15 pitches per inning, which is pretty much standard around Major League Baseball, 15 to 16 pitches per inning.
Fastball missed. Landed awkwardly, Kershaw. It looks a little uncomfortable now. It's full 3-2. So AJ has pulled a Goldie from 0-2 to 3-2 in the count. Back-to-back 3-2 counts for Kershaw. There's Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach, on the right. Dave Roberts, who 2 years ago today made his debut as the Dodgers skipper. He's on the left. Owings on deck.
Kershaw got 2 outs on 7 pitches, and now he's thrown 16 pitches to Goldie and AJ.
Seager at shortstop. We are through 1. D-backs and Dodgers, no score at Chase Field.
Every time his number was called, he got the job done and then some. And Zach told me he wants to carry over that mental approach where he never takes an opportunity for granted. And he said after pounding the strike zone this spring, he really has gained a greater trust for his stuff, and he hopes that that translates into more consistent outings.
Okay, he certainly was, as we mentioned earlier, a staff savior last year, in the words of Torey Lovello. Matt Kemp leads off the Dodgers second.
Yeah, he was such a big part of the rotation by the end of the season. You kind of forget the way he got to that point. Yeah, he had a start, went right back to AAA, came back up, had another start, went to the bullpen, back into the rotation, back into the bullpen, and just continued to put up great numbers.
Lifted in the air to center for Pollock. It was like that for Godley 2 years ago, in fact, with Chip Hale in his last season. Zach was the up and down guy, Chip used to call him. Back and forth from Reno.
Number 14,
Kike Hernandez, the second baseman for the Dodgers tonight. Hernandez 3 for 10. He struck out as a pinch hitter against Archie Bradley last night. Did you have some fun in trying to go back and read your box score, your scorecard from last night?
I was really good up until the 13th inning.
Pencil just kind of slides off the page. Godley slid off the mound that time. We saw Kershaw do that once in his inning. Hernandez has had a very hot bat this spring. He led the Dodgers in RBIs in spring training. He had nearly 330 with 4 homers in the Cactus League. Hernandez will see most of the time at second base while Justin Turner is out with that fractured wrist. Logan Forsythe will move over to third. He's in there tonight. Kyle Farmer seen time at third base as well. Utley got the start at second here last night. Fastball in. It's 3-1. There's Logan Forsythe. Hard to short. It backs up Ketel Marte on the high hop. 5 in a row set down by the Bull.
Kike Hernandez is one of those guys. He's just steadily hunting fastballs, and if he gets himself into some good hitters counts and can start that bat a little bit early, he's a dangerous hitter. That doesn't surprise me. He had great numbers in spring training. A lot of pitchers don't have their best secondary stuff in the Cactus League, and I'm sure he took advantage of some meatballs right down the middle.
Yeah, he's changed his mechanics a bit, Kike Hernandez, trying to prove that he can hit right-hand pitching after all. Forsythe homered last night. A home run in the 6th inning off Yoshi Hirano. 2 for 18 to start the year. Forsythe saw a big drop off in his power with the Dodgers last year. 2 years ago in Tampa Bay he hit 20 home runs, but last year in LA just 6. Ketel Marte one more time. Another ground ball out for Godley, who has set down 6 in a row. No score, Chase Field. TV. You can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. It's presented locally by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the free app and take Fox Sports Arizona and the D-backs with you wherever you go. Chris Owings leads off the Diamondbacks second against Clayton Kershaw. CO 4 hits and 11 at bats this year. His 3-run home run with 2 outs in the 9th inning tied it last night against Kenley Jansen. And it looked a little something like this.
Well, we've seen a lot of balls die on the warning track. It's unusual to see a no-doubter, but CO knew that ball was gone as soon as he made contact.
And it was interesting, Chris, talking about the home run. He said he saw the walks ahead of him as you mentioned, Bob, to Goldie and A.J. Pollock in the at-bats before. And he was looking at Kenley Jansen's misses up and away. And that told Chris that Jansen would try and get back in the strike zone when he got up there. Get ahead with strike one. And sure enough, Jansen's pitch was right in the tunnel where Chris was looking for it. And he jacked it.
Well, a great approach. A lot of thinking going into that at bat, but you still have to execute. You still have to make solid contact with the baseball, and he squared it up beautifully.
And Jansen, after the ball game, had to answer more questions from the LA media. What's wrong? What's wrong? Nothing wrong with the Kershaw curveball tonight. Gets his second strikeout.
Tight curveball rotation. He can drop it in there for strikes when he wants to, bounce it in the dirt when he gets ahead in the count. Devastating weapon.
Kershaw so far 5 hitters. He's been ahead 0-2 4 times. Daniel Descalso, the second baseman. Daniel 1 for 6 to start the year. Kershaw gets ahead again 0-1. Daniel flied out as a pinch hitter in the Monday Marathon. Descalso gets into one, headed toward the pool. It's gone. Daniel Descalso last year 10 homers, a career high in his first season as a D-back. And tonight he makes it 1-0 Arizona.
Second home run Kershaw's given up this season, both to left-handed hitters. Joe Panik of the Giants, and now Daniel Descalso gets a fastball on the inner third of the plate, mid-thigh, and crushes it over the pool out there in right center.
That's a jumbo jack, a free jumbo jack tomorrow, a Jack in the Box with a purchase of a large drink. Devin Marrero, the third baseman, fouls back a fastball. Marrero 1 for 3 on the year, had an RBI single opening day in the win over the Rockies. Grounded out as a pinch hitter in the 6th inning last night. Fly ball right field. Puig near the track. Well, Dodger fans are going to be looking at their scripts and say, wait a minute, Kershaw's giving up home runs to lefties. And Kenley Jansen's blowing saves.
3-run lead in the 9th with 2 outs.
It's Dodger Bizarro world.
We love it.
John Ryan Murphy, the catcher. We will stick around after the end of this inning for something I think you're going to enjoy. We have a little fun with the players every year in spring training. We sit down and ask them questions, and mostly questions about their teammates. And so we'll have a little clip for you after the final out of this half inning. 1-0 D-backs. Daniel Descalso's first of the year. Well, we could be seeing a fair amount of Devin Marrero. Jake Lamb on the 10-day DL with a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. And now we're getting a look at John Ryan Murphy, a guy we haven't seen a whole lot of. The third catcher. Kemp is in left center. And that's the end of the half inning. Well, every spring training we sit down with the D-backs players and ask them, tell me about your teammate. What's this guy like? What's that guy like? Well, we sat down with some of the D-backs and asked them, what about Zach Godley and Andrew Chafin? They seem to be sort of this country music duo type. What's the deal with those guys? And this is some of the responses we got.
We went to Hawaii.
Him and Chafin they're not fake country guys, because they're definitely country, but they're rich country. They're country with money now, so they're in a little different category. Okay.
No, he can't say that, because he's also doing all kinds of stuff to try and be country as well in Oklahoma with his.
Yeah, has he told you guys about his range he's got out there?
I mean, Chafin's got every gadget and gizmo and horse saddle, and same thing with Godley now. He just got a brand new truck.
Archie's got 47 pairs of shoes in his locker, 15 pairs of Oakleys.
And he's got
37 different gloves.
Full of nothing but shoes and gloves.
About to call them the Beverly Hillbillies, because they're getting up there in the status here on the hillbilly side.
So that was the initial response, and it sort of seemed like, you know, Chafin and Godley are always a pair, so I had to ask them the question, is this a bromance? And it really didn't go over all that well. Is this a bromance?
Really, dude? This isn't about us. This is about Archie.
I'm out. Come on. I'm out.
Did Archie put you up to that?
No.
Take your oversized microphone and go home.
Godley walked out.
He did. Oh, it's priceless.
But he came back and we had some fun. And we'll have a lot of those interviews for you over the course of the season on Fox Sports Arizona. Our terrific crew, Brad Weimer and Josh Kellman, putting those together for us.
You know, you talk to retired ball players and ask them, what do you miss about the game? And, you know, most guys say, I miss competing, you know, but the thing everybody misses is that camaraderie you have with your teammates. You're around these guys every day for 6 months. And you better find a way to have some fun with it.
And, you know, honestly, Bob, that seems to be one of the real strengths of this group. They're tight. Austin Barnes, the catcher. Godley has retired the last 6 he's faced. You know, you always hear the stories about somebody who's an all-star and he's got his own limo going and he's got his corner of the clubhouse and you don't really talk to him and he does his own thing. That doesn't happen in this clubhouse.
Well, they used to have a saying, 25 players, 25 cabs.
Yeah, that was the Red Sox back in the day. 1-1. Barnes 2 for 4 with an RBI this year. Singled as a pinch hitter last night in the 9th.
I don't care what you do for a living. If you enjoy the people you work with, it makes the day just fly by. You really enjoy showing up. And we see these guys every day come in the clubhouse door. It's like Christmas morning. They come bopping in there. And there's all kinds of language flying around that clubhouse.
There's the curveball, 2-2. It's a really good vibe in there. And I think a lot of that has to do with Torey Lovullo and what was laid last year as the foundation and carried over into the postseason and again into this year. National League Manager of the Year last year. Tried to throw the cutter down and away, missed it. It's full 3-2. Kershaw, the pitcher, on deck. Clubhouse culture. Is laced fair, headed for the left field corner. Austin Barnes digging for second. Peralta picks it up and Barnes has a double.
You know, Barnes was the guy that got most of the playing time for the Dodgers in the postseason. Played in all 7 games of the World Series. Lines this one down into the left field corner. Rattles around down there for a little while. David Peralta ultimately runs it down, holds him to a double.
Yeah, Barnes, you're right, really took over the catching duties from Yasmani Grandal when the games became important September, October. So here's Kershaw. You see Goldie coming in from first base. Marrero kitty cornered at third with Barnes the runner at second. Kershaw bunts that foul.
Now we see Paul Goldschmidt do this often with an obvious bunt situation, and certainly with Kershaw at the plate you would expect a sacrifice bunt. Nobody out, runner at second, and Goldie just really charges hard from first base. It's important that Daniel Descalso, in his route over to first to cover the bag, is ready just in case Kershaw bunts it hard past Goldie.
Murphy's on it. Kershaw does the job as Barnes moves into third.
Can't do it much better than that. He bunted that ball right out near the end of the bat. Just got out on the infield grass and died for John Ryan Murphy.
Center fielder, Chris Taylor.
That'll bring up the leadoff man, Chris Taylor, who singled to start the ball game. Taylor is always a tough out. Last year nearly .350 versus the D-backs with 3 homers. In with a fastball, it's 2-0.
Zach Godley has a tendency to fall off that mound to the first base side, sometimes really aggressively. Sometimes he spins out a little bit too early. That time I think he lost his release point. That ball chasing Taylor down and in.
This is lifted deep to right center field. Pollock at the track under the home run porch, and he's got it. This will get Barnes home easily, and the Dodgers get the equalizer. Boy, Taylor really gave that a ride. It stayed in the yard. One ball game. Here's Seager, who struck out his first time up. Zach Godley, 3 starts against this Dodgers lineup last year. He was 1-1 with a 3.93 ERA. Zach lost at Dodger Stadium last July 5th, but gave up only 1 run in 5 2/3. He beat LA at the end of August here at Chase Field. That curveball got away. He's behind on Seager, 3-0 with Puig on deck. Base hit for Seager. Zach doesn't look like he's had a whole lot of luck with that cutter tonight.
He's tried to wedge it in there a few times. Just hasn't been able to get it in on the hands of the left-handed hitters like he did with regularity last season.
Puig grounded out his first time up. Blasted to center for Pollock. Dodgers get a run back. We're tied at 1.
Geico, one of the most lopsided trades in the history of baseball. Back in 1974 on this day, the Indians traded a 17-year-old named Pedro Guerrero to the Dodgers for a pitcher named Bruce Ellingson.
Who could forget Bruce Ellingson?
Bruce Ellingson, yeah. 42 innings in the major leagues. Pedro Guerrero went on to be one of the greatest offensive players in Dodger history. 309 career average in 11 seasons in LA. OPS of nearly 900.
Zach Godley leads off the bottom of the third. 20/20 hindsight.
Yeah.
Boy, Bob, that was 4 very hard hit balls in that inning against Zach Godley. Puig's line out to center was just a laser. So the Dodgers making some hard contact against Zach Godley in the third. Little pop up to Bellinger, 1 away.
Boy, that humidor is really killing the baseball. Just not carrying it all.
That would have been out of here last year.
Hit that one right off his thumbs.
I think we are starting to see a fairly consistent pattern, though. It does appear to be having an effect.
I don't think there's any question. I mean, we've seen some balls that should have been home runs that were home runs, and we've seen a lot of outs that have died on the warning track, especially right out there at that 413 mark in right center. Just don't carry quite the way they used to.
Yeah, the ball that Taylor hit to drive in the run may have been gone last year, and as we mentioned, Puig hit just a missile out there. Peralta gets into one. Puig backing up at the wall, and it's gone. Oh, that one made it out, humidor or not. David Peralta's first of the year makes it 2-1 D-backs. Second Diamondback home run tonight against Kershaw. Last time they faced him, they hit 4.
Well, the numbers would tell you that left-handed hitters are possibly starting to figure something out against Clayton Kershaw. In his career, he's given up 1 home run every 34 plate appearances to a left-handed hitter. Last season, it was 1 home run every 20 plate appearances. And granted, it's very early on, only his second start this year, but he's giving up a home run every 4 plate appearances.
Another Jumbo Jack. Free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. Ketel Marte, the switch hitter, bats right-handed against Kershaw. Well, maybe you just stack the lineup with lefties against Kershaw.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Out of the box. Well, Ketel had a home run against Kershaw in the division series last year. That was game 1 in LA. I still remember that home run he hit at Dodger Stadium last year over the summer. It was 4 rows away from leaving the building, and that was as a right-hand batter.
I've played and coached and managed and watched a lot of games in Dodger Stadium. That's one of the longest home runs I've ever seen hitting that ballpark.
It was a tremendous blow.
Just narrowly missed the overhang of the pavilions out there in left field.
The freight train, David Peralta, makes it 2-1. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ketel Marte. This is tapped to third for Forsythe. He had a 3-error game over there the other day, but they retire Marte for the second out. Goldie walked in his first plate appearance tonight, his 8th walk of the season. Fastball catches that corner down and away. Well, we've seen Goldie Bob really swing and miss right through some fastballs here for the first 4 or 5 games of the year.
We usually see him do this once or twice over the course of the summer. You rarely see it this early in the season, however, but occasionally Goldie will take some good hittable pitches, swing through some other hittable pitches.
Reaches out and taps it to Kike Hernandez at second, and Kershaw is onto the third, but David Peralta's first of the year gives the D-backs a 2-1 lead. Charity raffle presented by Arizona Lottery from home along with all of us at Chase Field. Tickets can be purchased online during every D-backs home game, televised on Fox Sports Arizona at dbacks.com/5050 raffle. Cody Bellinger leads off the LA fourth. Marrero in foul ground. Quick out number 1 for Godley. And the winning numbers are revealed on the D-backs Live post-game show, so stay tuned after the game, find out if you've won. Your chance to win half the pot and help kids in our community. David Peralta's solo shot in the third has made it 2-1 D-backs. One down for Matt Kemp, who flied out to center his first time. Marrero at third, long throw. No problem. Devin Marrero, by all accounts, is a superb defensive infielder at second, short, or third.
Always been known for his defense, no matter what position you put him at. Tough topspin grounder right down the line. That time he's up to the task. Strong throw across and plenty of time to get Kemp.
2 outs on 2 pitches for Zach Godley. Yeah, Marrero is a defensive star at Arizona State. Four years in a row he was ranked by Baseball America as the best defensive infielder in the Red Sox minor league system. Here's Kike Hernandez, 0 for 1.
Yeah, a lot of the rules that we used to play by have gone by the boards, but 2 pitches, 2 outs. The next hitter should probably take until he has at least 1 strike on him, maybe 2 strikes. You do not want to let the opposing pitcher have a quick inning.
Well, they're not doing a very good job of that. 6 of Godley's 11 outs so far, 2 or fewer pitches.
Wow.
Hard to get more efficient than that. 1-1 on Hernandez. Floats a curveball up there. It's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Just dipped below the strike zone there on the outside corner. Pretty good pitch right there.
Forsythe hoping to get a chance. 3-1 on Hernandez. Mentioned Kike Hernandez had some new mechanics this year. He used to stand very upright at the plate and square to the pitcher with his hands up high. But now you'll see, watch that front foot. He's opened up a bit. He's got more bend in the knee. And he's actually raised those hands up and back a bit more. He looks a lot different than last year. And he was always one of those guys that would lift that front leg. There's the hitting coach Turner Ward, and kind of had just hover over the plate with his foot off the ground. But now it's more of a quick jab step with that front foot.
Yeah, one thing you hear all the hitting coaches and the good hitters talk about is getting that front foot down, keeping your hands back, but getting that front foot down so you can recognize the pitch and be ready to pull the trigger. He had that big leg kick, almost like a pitcher's windup.
All of this, he believes, will help him hit right-hand pitchers better. He's always been known as a guy that crushes lefties but can't hit righties. And he's been adamant this spring. He doesn't want to just be a super utility guy who can play everywhere but can't hit right-hand pitching. 8th pitch of the at-bat on the way. He didn't go, Mark Carlson. So 2 quick outs, then a long base on balls to Hernandez, and we'll see Forsythe.
That's a good at bat by Kike Hernandez right there. I had mentioned 2 quick outs on 2 pitches, and you want to extend that bat as long as you can. Force that Godley to throw some more pitches. So in that respect, a real good at bat by Kike.
He can be one of those fly in the ointment guys. Forsythe grounded out to end the 2nd. First pitch curveball, steal strike 1. Well, Logan Forsythe kind of just crawled through the season last year. He hit only .201 after the All-Star break. Got hit by a pitch in the middle of April, suffered a broken big toe in his right foot. He was out more than a month and never did quite get going. And he's off to a 2 for 19 start this year, although he did homer here last night.
Hands and feet. It's tough to come back from those injuries as a baseball player. You can imagine your hands, obviously, swinging the bat. You got to be healthy. You got to have strong hands, strong forearms, strong wrists. And your feet, you got to have your base underneath you. If you've got a bad toe and every time you come down on it, you feel that pain, it's going to alter your swing.
That one gets away from Murphy, and Hernandez has second. Second time a Dodgers base runner has advanced on a wild pitch.
Just spikes that curveball in the dirt. Got it off the right side of the chest protector. Got far enough away for Kike Hernandez to advance.
Godley still ahead of the count, 1-2. Fastball just off the plate, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, Forsythe does not have good knees anyway. He has an injection in his knee every spring to start the season, kind of a supplement that provides extra lubrication and cushion in there. Says it lasts about 5-6 months. Oh, what a play. Daniel Descalso takes a base hit away and saves a run. Daniel Descalso, he's already homered. There's a defensive gem. 2-1 D-backs. Coming up Saturday, April 21st, the D-backs take on the Padres, a 5:10 start. First 20,000 fans take home this beautiful bobblehead, is modeled by the lovely Bob Brenly right there. Now there's a little button by his foot.
Yeah, right down here.
And that plays a radio call from Tom Candiotti and Greg Schulte of Archie Bradley's wild card game triple. That is coming up right here at Chase Field. D-backs and Padres, April 21st. Nicely done. A.J. Pollock leads off the fourth against Clayton Kershaw. You wonder, okay, they put Jake Lamb on the DL. They called up a pitcher. That doesn't make any sense. Well, hold on. Don't forget last night they needed 8 pitchers. So guys are a little tired back there today. So Matt Cook is here.
Yeah, extra inning games early in the season will definitely force you to make some roster moves sometimes just to get healthy arms up here. If guys pitch deep into an extra inning game, I mean, think about the Miami Marlins. They've had 3 extra inning games already in the early going. 17 innings in game 2, 10 innings in game 3. I don't know, they were still playing. I think they were in the 13th today.
They're tied up with the Red Sox.
Yeah, that'll really put a strain on your bullpen, especially if your starters don't get you deep enough into the ball game where you can manage that bullpen.
And think about those exhausted bullpen catchers warming up all those guys.
Absolutely.
Michael Brenly. Does he get overtime if they go into extras?
Does anybody?
You know, that's a good point.
That's bonus baseball.
Well, we have to thank all the fans who hung around the ballpark last night. We were having a discussion before the game. We figured about 10,000 stuck around. It was a pretty good crowd for that late. And they were into it, man. It was a lot of fun in here last night. Tiring, but a whole bunch of fun. 5 hours and 45 minutes is the official time. There had been some reports about 5:46. I saw some members of your staff checking on that, but 5:45 is the official time. We got it right down to the second. There's a slider, and Kershaw rings up Pollock to start the home half of the fourth.
AJ wasn't so sure about that one. Little slider. Barnes pulled it back into the strike zone. Looked like it never did get to that outside corner.
Chris Owings, a strikeout victim in his first at bat tonight. Forsythe having more problems at third. Logan Forsythe had a 3-error game last week at third base against the Giants. That was Friday. The last Dodger to make 3 errors in one game, D. Gordon, about 4 years ago.
Boy, once you start backing up, that's when you get in trouble. Forsythe was caught in between charging and playing it on a short hop, or backing up and playing the big hop. And I got caught in between that time.
It has not gone well for a guy who normally is a very good defensive infielder, but is most of the time at second base. Descalso homered his first at bat tonight.
Get a little more time to react at second base than you do down there at third. They call it the hot corner for a reason.
Yeah, that ball gets on you, right?
Yeah, and this was Daniel Descalso back in the second inning, taking Clayton Kershaw way out of here. Kershaw with 2 home runs tonight, 4 in NLDS play last year, 6 total home runs in his last 2 appearances against the Diamondbacks.
Well, the thing about Forsythe, he did make 31 starts at third base last year. In fact, played just over 300 innings at third last year, mostly when Justin Turner was out with a hamstring problem. Now for Turner, it's that wrist fracture. And he played a fair amount of third base in the minor leagues as well, so it's not brand new for him. He was the obvious choice when Turner went down. But it's been an adventure so far. Big cut at that fastball, and it's 2-1. You don't often see a big league infielder, especially an experienced one like Forsythe, as you said, back up on a ball.
Yeah, he just not the comfort level isn't there. He may have played there quite a bit, but I know from experience that doesn't mean he's comfortable at third base.
What are you saying?
I mean, he's a natural second baseman, and it looks like it. At third base, he's just doing the best he can down there.
High fly ball drifting over toward left center is Taylor. Owings stays put, 2 outs. What makes you appreciate guys like we were talking about with Devin Marrero, who can get it done at second, short, and third.
Yeah. And look like a natural at any of those 3 positions.
Because from what I understand, it's all different angles. Obviously,
Sure.
it's different throws. The bat comes off the ball at a different angle. It's a different look for the infielder. But is that the biggest thing about third? It's just on you quicker?
It's on you quicker. It's a reactive position. You don't really have a lot of time to focus on your footwork and your mechanics as a defender. You just try to knock it down, pick it up, and throw them out.
Marrero flied out in the second inning.
I've said it many times. My former partner on the radio in Chicago, the late Ron Santos, said all you need to be a good third baseman is a strong chest and a strong arm.
The great Ron Santo. Well, the D-backs got some bad news at third base. As we mentioned earlier, Jake Lamb on the 10-day DL today with a sprained AC joint in his left shoulder. So Marrero's in there tonight. Barnes can't find it. Owings got a late read, and he's in there anyway.
Easy to read the breaking ball in the dirt. It actually got through Barnes and hit Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire. Got a piece of it with the glove, and then it hits the plate umpire. That's why Chris Owings didn't get a great jump initially. He knew the ball was right there at home plate somewhere. And by the time Barnes recovers, CO's in scoring position.
.60 pitches for Kershaw, 41 strikes. Owings at second with 2 outs. Angels hosting Cleveland 6-2. Shohei Ohtani has homered for the Angels. He looked terrific on the mound pitching against Oakland on Sunday. And tonight he's homered against the Tribe. A lot of people saying after that pitching performance, they shouldn't even let him hit. Don't bother with that. He's too good a pitcher. Well, apparently not.
I think Ohtani, like most players this time of year, they just want to get into the grind of the season. I'm sure he had an inordinate amount of attention every time he took a step on the field. He just wants to settle in and be a ball player. 1-2.
Well, the contingent of Japanese media following his every move is just mind-boggling. Got to be 50, 60 guys every time Ohtani turns around to chew a piece of gum.
You shoot a million pictures of him stretching, playing catch, running sprints in the outfield. Everything he does is under a microscope.
Got to be tough. We saw some of that in spring training at Salt River Fields with Yoshi Hirano. There was a group of Japanese media members following his every move. That's a mound visit for Barnes. They got to get together with a runner at second and 2 outs. Jerry Davis will write that down behind the plate and inform the press box and the Dodger dugout that LA now has 5 mound visits left.
Every time I see Kershaw pitch out of the stretch, I hearken back to Craig Counsell's days here in Arizona when he used to stand in the batter's box and hold that bat straight up over his head. Well, Kershaw in the middle of his stretch position extends those arms up over his head. Kind of reminds me of Craig Counsell if he had a bat in his hands.
Full count on Devin Marrero, 3-2. There it is right there. Got him on a slider. Strands Owings at second. D-backs have a 2-1 lead.
Park. They lead the Dodgers 2-1. Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, the Dodgers have made a lot of loud contact against Zach Godley tonight, but he's kept them to 1 run on 3 hits. He has walked 1 and struck out 1. And Austin Barnes, who doubled and scored in the 3rd, leads off the LA 5th. First pitch curveball. We saw Wilmer Font do that for 3 or 4 innings late in the ball game last night. Just steal strike 1 with that big loopy breaking ball. But he left one up to Jeff Mathis in the 15th. And that was it. But it was fun to see Mathis just recognize that pitch right away. Just kind of sit back, and then boom.
Yeah, he'd seen a real good curveball on the first pitch of that at bat for a called strike, but then the next one just kind of tumbled up there high in the zone. He got that front foot down, as you said, kept his hands back and got the big hit.
This is tapped to 3rd for Devin Marrero. This was the winner last night. Watch Mathis just kind of sit back and wait on this curveball. Sees it and little half a hitch and then gone.
Yeah, Fonta had been real good up to that point, but he kind of slowed his delivery down and rolled that curveball up there, and Jeff recognized it immediately.
Well, that curveball had been giving the D-backs hitters fits when Font first got into the ball game. But Mathis, the hero, and it prevented a pitching performance that he really wasn't all that thrilled about, he said. He was going to go in and continue as the pitcher if we get to the top of the 16th. Clayton Kershaw. Usually position players do that when it's 15-2, not in a tie game. Mathis had done that a couple of times in Toronto when Torey Lovullo was in the coaching staff with the Blue Jays. Godley behind on the pitcher Kershaw, 2 balls and no strikes. Kershaw laid down a sacrifice bunt his first time up. Zach sprayed it around a bit tonight. 3-1 now on the pitcher. Chris Taylor has singled. He's knocked in a run with a sac fly. He's on deck. There's the cut fastball, and it's full 3-2. Over Godley's head. Descalso is there. 2 outs. Well, Torey Lovullo was saying this spring that one thing that Zach Godley doesn't have this year, he's not going to be a secret. And you were talking about that earlier. He's now got everybody in the league's got all kinds of ideas. People understand the action on his pitches, what's coming. So now it's on Godley, Torey says, to make the necessary sort of subtle, quiet adjustments.
Yeah, and I think the easiest adjustment he can make is just improved command. As you said, he's spraying it around a little bit tonight. We've seen him do that from time to time. But when his command is good, it doesn't matter if you've seen him on video. It doesn't matter if you've seen him at the plate. If he uses the proper mix of pitches in a good location, he's going to be effective.
A consensus from everybody about Godley when they see him the first or second time is everything he throws moves.
Yeah, nothing straight. Sink the fastball, cut the fastball. We've seen the big curve. He'll take something off that cutter from time to time, make it look a little bit more like an off-speed pitch.
And so guys are up there kind of unsure. They're swinging at pitches they think are going to be strikes, and that results in a lot of weak contact.
And it's a little deceiving because Zach Godley throws his curveball so hard, 82, 83 miles an hour, as opposed to Clayton Kershaw, who's made a living throwing some real good curveballs in the low to mid 70s. It's a little bit more of a roller. It has a little bit more break to it. Zach's is a hard curveball.
Here's the 0-2 to Taylor. Fastball away. He doesn't bite. And it's a curveball that just kind of bites straight down. There's no hump in it on the way to the plate like you see with some.
That's a good way to describe it. A lot of curveballs, you'll see the ball when it leaves the pitcher's hand, the first thing it does is go up until the ball starts to take the break and come back down into the hitting zone when it gets to the plate. But Zach reminds me a lot of Mark Pryor,
who is now the Dodgers bullpen coach, by the way.
Mark Pryor used to throw a real hard curveball, and it didn't go up when it left his hand. It came out of his hand and looked just like all of his other pitches.
It's a hard pitch for hitters to pick up. There's no rise to it, just a sharp breaking vertical pitch, not much slide to it. Called strike 3. There's the cutter for a strike. Anthony's. The Bull runs off with a 2-1 lead. Customize your own ticket pack this season with a D-backs mini plan. Choose from the biggest games. You could pick holiday games like Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July. Or pick some big giveaway games like the Archie Bradley Auto bobblehead coming up, or the Sugar Skull t-shirt. Visit dbacks.com/mini-plan and design your own D-backs season ticket plan. That's a great program they got going there. It's up to you. Pick your games.
Yeah. I'm going to come out here and shout down the Dodger fans. Pick the Dodger series.
You know, if they get here by the 4th inning. John Ryan Murphy, the catcher, leads off the 5th against Clayton Kershaw.
Arriving the 4th, leaving the 7th.
That's the way it goes. Well, we can't say too much. We'll be there soon. Day game tomorrow, a 12:40 start. Check out dbacks.com. We'll give you a matinee price on your ticket. 12:40 for Patrick Corbett and Alex Wood. Then it's off on the first long road trip of the year. We will be the Cardinals home opener Thursday, off day on Friday, where I'm told it's supposed to snow in St. Louis. I'm not even joking.
Possibly 5 inches of snow.
And then 2 more games in St. Louis, 3 in San Francisco, and 3 at Dodger Stadium. So you better pack your long johns there, Mr. Brennan.
I usually do early in the season just in case. I've been in San Francisco a few times when it's really, really cold at night.
Yeah. Those seagulls are coming at you. Garlic fries are frozen.
Yep.
It's always the first trip of the year when you go to pack. Okay, now where did I put that jacket? I had it last year. Is it in the garage? Well, just talking about curveballs, that was a good example, Bob, of your description of the Kershaw curveball, a slow, loopy bender.
73 miles an hour, very tight rotation, but when it leaves his hand, it has a little up to it, and then it takes the break and comes back down. And once again, just because you recognize it doesn't mean you can hit it.
70 pitches, 47 strikes. 2-2 on John Ryan Murphy. This is up with a fastball, and it's full 3-2. The pitcher Godley on deck. John Ryan Murphy, just 5 games with the D-backs last year. Acquired at the trade deadline from the Minnesota Twins. Once a second-round pick of the Yankees. The slider, 3-2. We mentioned Shohei Ohtani, who pitched brilliantly for the Angels Sunday at Oakland. Well, here's Ohtani at home batting against Cleveland, and there it goes, a 3-run homer.
That ball had re-entry burns on it. He hit that ball straight up.
The Japanese Babe Ruth, they call him. He can be a very good pitcher, they anticipate, and he can hit just a bit too. He's got real power. And the interesting thing about Ohtani, as Godley hits a ground ball to Seager, usually when you hit your first big league home run, you get the silent treatment in the dugout, but he's a guy that uses an interpreter, so I don't know how this works exactly. Hug me, hug me. And there's the reaction.
Well, Ohtani not the only guy to homer tonight. Marcell Ozuna hit a 479-foot blast for the Cardinals. Avisail Garcia, the White Sox, 481 feet, the longest home run so far this season. Bryce Harper homered in his 3rd straight game. He's got 4 on the season. And former D-back Didi Gregorius with 2 homers and 8 driven in for the Yankees opening day.
It was a freezing monsoon rain. I saw that for the Yankees home opener, and Didi homered twice. Peralta homered his last time up off Kershaw. I saw the Ozuna homer. That almost hit the back of the wall at Miller Park in left center. And Braun had a walk-off. Brewers came back and beat the Cardinals 5-4 the final, as Dominic Leone blew the save, former D-back.
See that little exchange right there? It looked like Clayton Kershaw wanted to talk to his catcher. He walked 3 or 4 steps off the mound, then stopped and turned around and went back up on the rubber. He realized that that would have been credit against the Dodgers for a meeting.
Well, they have 5 left. I think guys have to get a feel as to, how to space them out over the course of 9 innings or so. And of course, you get 1 extra visit for every extra inning played. Could have had a whole lot of visits last night. That might have slowed the game down. 2-2 on Peralta.
Even though the game was, 5:45, almost 6 hours long, there was so much action, so much going on.
Peralta drops one in the gap. Taylor over to cut it off. A 2-out single for David, his 2nd hit tonight. You're right. It was a series of big moments, one after the other, for almost 6 hours.
And then the deeper it got into the ball game, you start looking at the rosters. Okay, what do we have left? What do they have left? And it got to the point where, as you said, Jeff Mathis was going to go to the mound if the game remained tied, and the Dodgers were down to their last pitcher.
And it's not just that they played for 5 hours and 45 minutes. It's not just that they played for 15 innings. The Diamondbacks were down 3-0, 6-3. 7-6, and they won at 8-7. The only time they led was after the walk-off hit by Mathis. They came back time and time again. Here's Marte, 0 for 2.
Kershaw with one of the more unusual deliveries in all of baseball. He's got a lot of moving parts out there, and I think that's part of what makes him really effective. It's tough to time his delivery, either out of the windup or the stretch.
As he gets older, he's going to rely on that deception, certainly more than velocity. When he started the Dodgers opener, that fastball averaged 91.5. That's a little below his career average. And his velocity was down throughout spring training as well. Something we talked about last night with Kenley Jansen.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it over the course of the summer, obviously, when we play against the Dodgers, see if there's a bump in that velocity. But he's been very consistent with his velo on that fastball throughout his career.
He's always had great command, of course. The secondary pitches have all been sharp, so he's not like he's velocity reliant. But there has been a little bit of a downtick, and even he admits that. Now 30 years old, Clayton Kershaw. 1-2 on Ketel Marte. Fastball at 93 misses. Kershaw said 30 sounds old to him.
Yeah, hang around a while, pal.
Marte somehow with that emergency hack at the curveball got a piece to stay alive. Yeah, Kershaw says that if you look around, he's right. The core of this Dodgers team is 25-ish, but now he's got a wife, he's got 2 kids, he's feeling old, he's turned 30. Slider in the dirt, full count, 3-2. Goldie on deck. Kershaw so far has walked 1. He struck out 5. 85 pitches, 55 strikes. Seager at shortstop. We're through 5 innings at Chase Field. The D-backs lead the Dodgers 2-1. Home runs tonight. The Cardinals, Marcell Ozuna in Milwaukee. Wow.
Oh my, that went over the bleachers.
That was the small one. Here's the biggie. Avisail Garcia, the White Sox in Toronto. That's right about where the Bob Brenly retired number banner should be at the Rogers Center.
Looked like he hit that off the window of the hotel out there in left center field. That was a bomb.
Right here, home runs have been the story. D-backs have hit 2 solo shots off Clayton Kershaw. Descalso in the second, Peralta in the third, and they lead it 2-1 as Corey Seager, the Dodgers shortstop, starts the 6th against Zach Godley. Seager has struck out, singled, 1 for 2 tonight. He had 3 hits last night in Monday's marathon. I don't recall seeing a whole lot of baseballs hit in Milwaukee where Ozuna hit that one almost the back of the wall at Miller Park. Roll to second base to Scalzo from the outfield grass. They retire Seager to start the 6th. That's 5 in a row set down by Godley.
Right fielder, Yasiel Puig.
Puig 0 for 2. D-backs did a good job containing Yasiel Puig last year. He played 18 games against the Diamondbacks, nearly all of them starts. Hit just .214. The Godley curveball. 1-0. It's a good example of Puig. A couple of years ago, you would have taken a wild hack at that one, but he's become a much more patient and selective hitter. Walk rate last year nearly doubled from 2 seasons ago. He cut down on the strikeouts. Gives this one a ride, right center field. And one hops the wall, a double for Puig.
Yeah, Puig's been hitting a lot of balls from gap to gap in this series. Got a pitch up over the heart of the plate and what a good swing on it. That ball just kept tailing away from AJ as he made his way over into the gap from center field. Just couldn't catch up to it.
Oh, he lined out hard to center field to win the 3rd, Puig, and he barreled up another one right there. Bellinger 0 for 2. The shift is on. Having more success with that cut fastball. It's 0-1.
And that's a great location for it right there. Cody Bellinger wants to get his arms extended. He can reach out there and pull pitches off the outside corner back to right field. Occasionally you can tie him up inside, though, especially up at the hands.
Bellinger 4 hits last night, all singles. Curveball missed. It's 1-1. Now defensively, you've got the shortstop Marte on the first base side of second. Marrero has to keep the bag in sight at third with Puig at second. Nationwide Vision Centers, eye on the game. There's the defense. Bounce to second. Descalso has it. Puig advances. 2 outs. You know, in a twisted kind of way, I miss the unpredictability of Yasiel Puig. You never know when he was going to just take off and run or throw it into the stands, as you said earlier. He's a smarter player and a better one now, but there was that edge to him that takes a little bit of the fun out of it.
Well, there's still an edge there. It's just a little bit more under control.
There was a time where no one thought that would ever be possible. Here's Kemp. Zach at 80 pitches, 48 strikes. First pitch curveball, steals the strike. Kemp is flying out, grounded out, 0 for 2. He singled and walked last night. Godley trying to strand that tying run at third with 2 outs.
Good block there by John Ryan Murphy. Saved a run. And when you catch Zach Godley, you know you're going to have to block some breaking balls in the dirt. Perfect form that time. Covered the 5-hole, let the ball come up into his stomach, kept it right in front.
Oh, a curveball there. It looked like it caught the top of the zone, but a little too high for Jerry Davis.
Might have been a strike, but that's not where Zach Godley wants to throw that pitch.
Well, just ask Wilmer Font about that. That looked like the ball Mathis hit for the game winner last night. 2-1 to Kemp. That's a much better curveball. Big moment for Zach Godley right here, trying to keep it a 2-1 ball game. Got him. Went back to the curve. The bull strands Puig. He keeps it 2-1 D-backs.
Of the sixth, but the only lead they had last night came at the 5-hour 45-minute when they walked it off with a win. And we saw, though, the Diamondbacks never gave up, fighting even with 2 outs against Jansen. And Torrey explained to me that this is what this team is built on. They give it their all on every single play because they have bought into the system that Torrey's been trying to establish here. He loves that this team never shuts down, and he thinks that it's those magical moments that we saw last night are the foundation that championship teams are all about. So, guys, if that's true, and this is happening in the opening weekend here, I think that's a good omen for the rest of the year.
Oh, you're right on that one, Kate. Good crowd tonight. Better than 27,000 here. People are excited about this ball club. And for good reason. Goldie leads off the 6th. D-backs lead the Dodgers 2-1. One more time for Forsythe in front of Seager, makes a nice play. He had an error in the ball game earlier.
Yeah, much more aggressive pass at that ground ball by Goldie. He smothered that one on the short hop, turned it into a much easier play than the one he backed up on earlier in the game.
I always ask you about what it's like to be in the managerial hot seat, and your situation was unique because you had such a veteran ball club. But how much of that culture that Kate was talking about comes from the manager's office?
I think in Torrey's case, most of it. I mean, there's obviously some guys on this team that are natural born leaders. They're not afraid to speak up or say something if it needs to be said. But I think it's pretty obvious, at least in my eyes, that most of this comes from Torrey's office. Perpetually confident guy, always has an idea of how he wants things to go, how he anticipates a game to go, what he expects players to do on a nightly basis, and above and beyond that, between the games. In the clubhouse before the ball game, in the clubhouse after the game, on the buses, on the planes. It's this constant communication between Torrey and his staff and these players.
And in a way, he's one of the guys, but he never crosses that line.
Right.
He keeps that little distant gap that needs to be there. He's very good about that from what I've observed. He can joke around with his guys, but at the end of the day, you know who the boss is.
And by the same token, Torrey's been around the game long enough to know at the end of the day, it all depends on how the players play. And in order to get the best out of the players at any job, if you're confident and you're prepared, you've got a much better chance of succeeding. And that's kind of been Torrey's mantra to the team.
Well, Kershaw's had that slider working as the game has progressed. He punches out Pollock, his 6th strikeout. How hard is it to face a guy that's got a really good curveball and a really good slider?
Yeah, it's unusual that he has both pitches as plus pitches. Most of the time a pitcher has one or the other that he's more comfortable with. He'll still continue to throw the other breaking pitch, but he has one that he really likes. I think it's tough to tell with Kershaw. On a given night he might throw a lot more curves than sliders. And on another night it might be the cutter that's working inside to the righties, and other times it's fastball command. And when he's got it all working,
good luck.
Yeah, that's when he hauls home Cy Young Award after Cy Young Award.
He's got a bunch of them. Here's Chris Owings. Clayton Kershaw, an all-star last year, the 7th consecutive season. Runner-up to Max Scherzer in the Cy Young voting in the National League. Puig coming in. He'll play it on a hop, a base hit for CO. And that brings up trouble for Kershaw, which tonight has been a left-hand batter. Homers by Descalso and Peralta. D-backs left-hand hitters have hit 2 home runs tonight, just the 4th time in Kershaw's career he's given up 2 home runs to lefties in the same game. The other 3 times, 2010 against Adam Dunn, 2012 against Cargo, 2013 against Jay Bruce.
Well, you got to believe Dave Roberts loves what he's getting out of his left-handed ace tonight. Nobody warming in the bullpen right now, and he's up to 96 pitches here in the 6th inning.
Looks like maybe Pedro Baez will start to stir down there. D-backs bullpen is still quiet. Godley's at 85. Hernandez from the outfield grass retires Descalso. 7th inning on the way, still 2-1 D-backs. Built for baseball, presented by T-Mobile, the best network for streaming baseball, because your stadium should be where you make it. Well, a night after the Diamondbacks had to run through 8 different pitchers in a game that lent nearly 6 hours, Zach Godley has pitched into the 7th inning. And now he'll work to the lower third of the Dodger order. The number 6 hitter, Kike Hernandez, will lead it off. Pitcher spot due up fourth in the inning for LA. Bullpen is busy. There's a strike. And now we've got some action in the Diamondback bullpen as well. Godley at 86 pitches. One of the new guys back there, Scott Alexander, the left-hander. Pedro Baez had been stirring earlier. Alexander threw only 12 pitches in one inning of work last night. You hear it all the time, Bob. Bullpen tired. Boy, it'd be nice if the starter tonight could give them some innings, and Zach Godley has certainly done that.
Boy, and if you can get a guy to do that after an extra inning game or after your bullpen has been really taxed over the course of the season, he's going to save you a lot of ball games. Eating up innings when you really need a starter to go out there and give you some length.
Pop up behind second to Scalzo ranging out. Owings coming in. It'll be CO. One down in the seventh. Andrew Chafin starting to get loose down there. Sanderson Ford bullpen. One of the unsung heroes last night was the guy who ended up with the win, Fernando Salas. Salas worked 3 innings, the longest stint of his career. Logan Forsythe 0 for 2. Forsythe off to a 2 for 20 at start at the plate this year. He has grounded out, lined out tonight. And he's had an error at third base. .90 pitches, 55 strikes for Godley. Descalso right there. Another ground ball out, 2 down. That'll bring up the catcher, Austin Barnes.
Catcher, Austin Barnes.
Kershaw's spot behind Barnes. We'll see who pops out of the on deck circle. Looks like it's going to be Yasmani Grandal. So this appears to be it for Kershaw if the inning continues. Curveball, 0-1.
Pretty good chance this will be Zach's last inning. He's due up third in the bottom half of the seventh. That last delivery, number 92 on the game.
The only runs allowed by Kershaw, a pair of solo homers to Scalzo in the second and Peralta in the third. Kershaw tonight has walked 1. He struck out 6. Given up just 4 hits. Barnes doubled and scored the Dodger run in the third. Came home on Chris Taylor's RBI sac fly.
Now the Dodgers' only run, as you mentioned, scored on that sac fly. Other than that, Zach Godley has held the Dodgers to an 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position.
Each team with 4 hits. Each team has left 4. That curveball got away from Zach. He's behind 3 balls and 1 strike. Grandal on deck, set to hit for Kershaw. Godley trying to get through 7 with a 2-1 lead. Marrero backs up at third.
Oh, yeah.
Out is the call by Mark Carlson at first. It looked awfully close. Dave Roberts says hold on.
I'm saying, oh, yeah, at the end of that play. That is a tough pick over there at first base. Nice job by Goldie.
2-1 D-backs. The home half of the 7th inning. Fans, you'll receive 15% off at the Chase Field Team Shop when you use the card by Gila River Casinos. All kinds of new items in there. D-backs logos, different colors. Use the card, get 15% off. The card by Gila River Casinos. Kershaw is done. Here's the left-hander Scott Alexander, acquired in the offseason from Kansas City. We saw Alexander in the ball game last night. He worked 1 inning, had 12 pitches, so he should be pretty fresh.
Yeah, walked the first batter. He faced Nick Ahmed last night in that 6th inning, but then got a double play ball and a tapper back to the mound. That's his forte, is getting that ground ball.
Well, if this final score holds up, Clayton Kershaw will drop to 0-2, despite the fact he's given up only 3 runs all year, all 3 on solo homers by left-hand batters.
How about that?
Devin Marrero, who does a good job against lefties, leads it off for the D-backs. He's 0 for 2. That's one of the things the Diamondbacks liked about Devin Marrero. Last year in Boston, hit .291 against left-handers. Murphy is on deck, the catcher. Pitcher spot behind him, so it's 7-8-9 in the D-backs 7th.
Just to put a bow on Clayton Kershaw's evening, 0-2 count to Diamondbacks hitters 7 times tonight. 4 times he was 1-2, and only twice in the ball game did he go to a 2-0 count.
Getting ahead. Sure enough, Marrero knocks it into center against the left-hander, a leadoff single. That's the 5th hit for the D-backs. The catcher, John Ryan Murphy, 0 for 2. Jeff Mathis in the on-deck circle, last night's walk-off hero. Marrero's got decent speed down there. He can run a little bit. Murphy, there's a knock. Couple of singles open up the D-backs 7th, and now Mathis is going back to the dugout. And we'll get a different hitter. Listen to this.
Jorge De La Rosa is going to take the at-bat that we assumed to put down a sacrifice bunt right here.
Nah, swing away.
Well, if Jeff Mathis could possibly pitch, why not let Jorge swing?
Well, you save a pinch hitter, you get the bunt down for the top of the order. Peralta on deck. Bellinger crashes in from first, and Jorge gets a fastball under the whiskers. And keep this in mind, De La Rosa has pitched in each of the first 4 games this year. This is game number 5. Our producer Brad the Big Dog Weimer points out he is still on pace to appear in 162 games this year.
Much like when he's on the mound, Jorge De La Rosa looks very calm in that left-handed batter's box. He's taken a couple pitches that weren't strikes. He's going to make Alexander throw him something he can bunt. Jabbed at that one a little bit.
Well, as a starting pitcher for better than a decade in the National League, this is nothing new to Jorge De La Rosa. Bellinger's getting a workout, going back and forth. Marrero, the runner at second, and Murphy at first. Here comes Bellinger again. He's on a full trot. Jorge pulls back, and it's 3-1. Good job by Yasiel Puig. I don't find myself saying that often, but he's coming all the way in from right field to back up first base with Bellinger charging. He walked a guy trying to give himself up, and the bases are full.
What a great at-bat by Jorge De La Rosa. Just calm and in control of that entire at-bat.
You saw Torey Lovello applause. And a chance to break it open here. Bases full of D-backs, no outs, and Peralta is the hitter. He has homered and singled tonight, 2 for 3. This was David Peralta against Clayton Kershaw, 1 out in the 3rd.
A belt high fastball on the inside part of the plate, hit a line drive homer over that fence in right field.
Oh, now they'll burn a mound visit. This is the time to do it. Bases loaded, no outs in a 2-1 game. Because the game is close, do you let De La Rosa run for himself and not burn another guy? And you could be looking at another extra inning situation here.
Yeah, the bench is a little short already with Jake Lamb going on the disabled list. Only 4 position players available off the bench for Torey, and 2 of those are catchers. So, yeah, I think he's going to let De La Rosa run the bases here. If his run was the tying or go-ahead run in the ball game, I think you'd probably see Dyson out there.
Nationwide Vision Center's eye on the game. Yeah, they didn't expect Jorge to be on base. That wasn't the plan. Trying to sacrifice himself. He got a walk. All the offense coming on solo homers. This is just the 3rd plate appearance tonight for the Diamondbacks with a runner in scoring position. David ahead, 2 balls and 1 strike. Took a rip at a fastball. 2-2. Marrero at 3rd, Murphy at 2nd, and De La Rosa, the runner at 1st. Nobody out. Alexander came back with another fastball. Ketel Marte, 2 triples last night. He's on deck, 0 for 3 tonight. Alexander makes a living as a ground ball pitcher. He's one of the best in the business. Did it kind of quietly last year in Kansas City. But since he made his major league debut in 2015, he is 2nd in the big leagues in ground ball percentage behind only Zach Britton. Dodger bullpen going to be busy. Pedro Baez throwing again. Neal has joined him as well. Another foul by Peralta, still 2-2.
Boy, this is a good battle right here. David hanging tough against the left-hander.
Dodgers did not have Josh Fields in their bullpen. He's on paternity leave. He appeared in the ball game last night. Neal is up to replace him in the roster. Another 2-2 to David Peralta. Called strike 3. Fastball was in there from Alexander, 1 down.
A lot of pitches in during that sequence. Alexander eventually throws a 91-mile-an-hour cutter up and away. David just couldn't pull the trigger.
Ketel Marte has grounded out 3 times, all from the right-hand side.
One to second, 1 to third, 1 to short.
He's using the whole field. Fastball missed. 1-0. Diamondbacks this year 2 for 7 with the bases loaded. That includes a walk. That was Jake Lamb last night. 1-1 on Marte. 1-2. Digging that out of the dirt.
Yeah, you can see why Alexander gets so many ground balls. Just about every pitch is down there at the knees or lower unless he wants to elevate.
Yoshi Hirano warming up in the Sanderson Ford bullpen.
Got to pitch up that time, up and out over the plate. Marte just a little tardy.
Boy, Alexander with that facial hair up there. He's got an Andrew Chafin type mustache. He looked like a guy that just rustled some cattle.
Town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Still 1-2 on Ketel Marte. Marrero singled, Murphy singled. De La Rosa walked, trying to give himself up on a sac bunt attempt. Bases loaded. Peralta struck out. Now 1-2 on Marte.
Good take.
Fastball in. 2-2. Bob Guerin, the bench coach, on the left. Dave Roberts, the skipper, on the right. There's Jerry Narin, Torey Lovello's bench coach. 2-2 pitch. In the dirt. Nice scoop by Barnes back there. That's the hands of an infielder right there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He just reacted like an infielder. A spiked fastball in near the feet of Ketel Marte. Nothing he could do was just stick that glove out there and hope the ball hits it, and got it right in the web.
Bases loaded. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it is. Well, Marte is becoming one of those guys that just has a knack for this kind of stuff. The 10th pitch of the at-bat on the way.
Occasionally you get a young player like Ketel Marte in swing mode and you can get him to chase a bad pitch, but you can't risk a bad pitch with the bases loaded right here.
Ball 4. He walked in a run.
What a great at bat. Got some good swings at pitches he thought he could handle. Ultimately takes that base on balls to drive in a run.
Dave Roberts will check in with Jerry Davis as Paul Goldschmidt comes up.
A couple lengthy at bats there. Might have taken Alexander out of the equation for tomorrow's game.
I think he's going to switch catchers. Grandal coming in, new pitcher as well. We'll take a break at Chase.
Alexander, let's take a look at pitch by pitch. This takes a while. You're going to see a lot of 92, 93 fastballs down below the knees. The one breaking ball, he threw him right there at 85, but look how many of these pitches are down around the knees. That pitch was elevated right there, but Marte, good take right here off the plate at 94. That one's at his feet. That's an easy one. Fouls off another high fastball and then takes ball 4. What a good at bat.
Now batting.
Well, last night Pedro Baez came on in the 4th inning with the runners on base. He got Paul Goldschmidt to ground out to end the threat, then worked to 1-2-3-5. And now it's Baez who comes into a bases loaded mess, and he'll face Goldie again. As Manny Grandal takes over for Austin Barnes behind the plate. He'll bat 9th, pitcher spot now 8th in the LA order. Goldie has walked and grounded out twice. He's 0 for 2. 3-1 D-backs. High in the air, drifting toward the seats and out of play. Keep in mind, anything that gets through the infield, you've still got Jorge De La Rosa, the pitcher, running for himself at second base. So an infield single doesn't necessarily bring home 2 runs.
And that's quite possibly what Dave McKay is alerting Ketel Marte at first base. Hey, you got a pitcher running in front of you. Make sure you pick up the lead runner. Unless it's a really well-placed base hit to the outfield, I got to believe Tony Parachica is going to throw up the stop sign for De La Rosa. Very important Ketel Marte sees that.
Fastball in at 97. 1-1. Now you don't want to get anybody thrown out with A.J. Pollock coming up behind Goldie. Still only 1 out. Grandal keeps it in front.
A test right away. I mean, I used to come into a lot of games defensively as part of a double switch with Roger Craig. A little bit different sitting out in the bullpen at Candlestick Park when it's 40 degrees and the wind is howling down the back of your neck, and suddenly the phone rings and they say Brenly's catching. Yasmani probably had enough time to go up and take some swings in the batting cage, get his legs loose. He was real good on that block.
He caught all 15 innings last night, Yasmani Grandal. Another fastball in on the hands. They didn't go, says Mark Carlson, and it's 3 balls and 1 strike. Chance to break it wide open. Ball 4, he walked in a run. Second bases loaded walk in the inning, and it's 4-1 D-backs. Goldie has already walked 9 times this year. 3rd walk of the inning issued by Dodger pitching. Here's Pollock, who's 0 for 3.
Yeah, coming into play tonight, only Freddie Freeman had walked more than Goldie. Not sure what the Braves did tonight, but I got to believe Goldie's still up there atop that National League walk leader.
A chance for Pollock. Keeps missing in with that fastball. AJ off to a terrific start this year. 3 doubles and a triple already. Doubled twice last night. Grandal blocks another one. D-backs have now had 3 bases loaded walks in the last 2 games. Jake Lamb in the 3rd inning last night. Marte and Goldie in the 7th here tonight. And Baez is behind on Pollock 2-0. Another in fastball. 3-0.
Now, this is where normally you would see the catcher run out to the mound, try to encourage Pedro Baez to make some kind of an adjustment. You continue to miss off the plate inside with mid-90s fastballs.
He's thrown 8 pitches, 7 balls. You want to turn him loose?
Sure. I trust that AJ won't chase a bad pitch.
He walked in another run. 3 consecutive bases loaded walks for the Diamondbacks, and it's 5-1.
5? Did you say 5?
I said 5. That means Taco Bell.
Yes, indeed. Now my staff is really reaching here. They say we should call these walkos tonight.
Oh, wow. Score. Rick Honeycutt to the mound. They got to figure something out here.
I'll tell you, tremendous patience shown in this inning, and a lot of the pitches weren't close to the strike zone, but when you get runners on base, especially against a rival like the Dodgers, human instinct, you want to go up there and hit the ball, make something happen, really blow it open, set this crowd on fire. But the Diamondbacks refused to go out of the strike zone. They took their base on balls, and now they're pushing their lead to the Dodgers to 4 runs.
They've got 3 runs in the inning, only 2 base hits, both singles.
How about this? Pedro Baez last year, inherited runners scored only 2 of 20. He's allowed 2 inherited runners to score tonight.
He's thrown 9 pitches, 8 of them outside the strike zone. Chris Owings, single his last time up. Marte at 3rd, Goldie at 2nd, and Pollock at 1st. They all walk with the bases full. Forsythe coming home. They get 1 on the force, and that's it. Ninth man to bat in the Diamondbacks' 7th is Daniel Descalso, who homered off Clayton Kershaw in the 2nd inning. Bases full, 2 outs. Sliders a strike, 0-1.
You know, partner, I talked about it a lot last year. Those rallies that start at the bottom of the order. This all got started with the guy in the on-deck circle, Devin Marrero, hitting out of that 7 spot in the lineup. A leadoff single, followed by Murphy's single, and then the walk parade started.
Marte, Goldie, and Pollock. 3 consecutive bases loaded walks. Fastball up, it's 1-1. Five runs on only 6 hits. Remember last night they had all the early walks. None of them could score. Now they're scoring with walks.
Well, we saw that throughout spring training. The Diamondbacks seemed to be a much more patient team. I don't know if patient is the right word. They were just more selective. They were swinging at pitches they thought they could handle.
A lot of that goes to the credit of Dave Maggott and the hitting coach, Tim Laker as well. Plate discipline. 1-2 on Descalso. There's Mags. Pitching coach Mike Butcher on the left here. Marrero, who started off this inning with a single, is on deck. Baez gets the strikeout, but the Diamondbacks get 3. They lead at 5-1. Diamondbacks used 8 pitchers. They needed a big one from Zach Godley, Bob, and they got it tonight.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. We were talking about it when Zach came out of the ball game after that extra inning game. A lot of bullpen usage, a lot of tired arms down there. You want your starter to go out there and get you deep into the ball game in a manageable situation, and that's what Zach Godley does once again tonight.
Our Chaz Roberts cool plays of the game. Zach went 7, gave up just 1 run on 4 hits. He walked 1 and struck out 3. And now Yoshihisa Hirano and that split finger fastball on to start the 8th inning. We saw Yoshi in the ball game last night, came on to start the 6th and gave up a solo homer to Logan Forsythe. Yasmani Grandal double switched into the ball game, bats 9th. He'll lead it off. Grandal, a hot start at the plate, 7 for 16, including a first inning home run last night. That one was off Taijuan Walker. Grandal has reached base safely in 10 of his 19 plate appearances to start the year. Caught the entire game last night. Not only did Grandal catch a 5-hour 45-minute game, at the plate he singled, doubled, homered, and walked twice. It's a pretty good night.
Pretty good night.
Didn't end well for him, but well, we have more history here, BB. History last night, longest game in Chase Field history. Tonight, first time in franchise history, the Dodgers have had 3 bases loaded walks in 1 inning.
Really?
The first time in Dodger franchise history. It says Dodgers. Penmanship counts. Check that. First time in franchise history, the D-backs have had bases loaded walks. They both start with D's. What is that, an O?
Confusing.
Looks like an O. To summarize, it was the first time in franchise history the D-backs have had 3 bases loaded walks in an inning. Glad we cleared that up. Descalso.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code DBacks50 at papajohns.com.
See, I'm just blaming it on your staff. I thought that was what we do here.
Well, and they immediately come to me to get encouragement, and I got to say I agree with them this time.
Yeah, I booted that one.
Another little tidbit in that last half inning for the Diamondbacks. They went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position and scored 3 runs.
Huh? Can you do that?
Yeah.
Wow. 5 runs, 6 hits. Yeah, Peralta struck out. Owings reached on a fielder's choice. Descalso struck out. They still scored 3 times. Yoshi gets ahead of Taylor. Taylor singled in the first, had an RBI sac fly in the third. He's knocked in the Dodgers' only run tonight. Yoshihisa Hirano, 34 years old. 11 seasons in Japan's Pacific League with the Oryx Buffaloes. He's been one of Japan's top closers over there.
A couple of other oddities from last night's ball game. We pointed out that 2 number 99s were matched up, Taiwan Walker and Hyungjin Ryu. Also, you had a number 66 Hirano pitching to number 66 Puig.
Now we can see why your staff was so upset with me. They've done some good work. That splitter buried in the dirt. 2-2 on Taylor. That is Yoshi Hirano's calling card, the split finger pitch. Last year, 29 saves for the Oryx Buffaloes, a 2.67 ERA. They think the fastball and the splitter will play very well at the back end of this bullpen. That was it right there. Left it up a bit, though. Also, with Yoshi, you get what Mike Hazen called the experience factor. Diamondbacks primarily have a younger bullpen, youngish. And Hirano's been getting big outs and closing in Japan for a decade now. So he knows what he's doing out there. Backs up to Descalso at second.
See, that's what that split finger will do. If you're a 2-pitch pitcher, you've got to have a pretty good split between those 2 pitches. And he flipped a couple of splitters up there, got Taylor way out in front of it, and then threw that 91-mile-an-hour fastball right on his knuckles.
Dodgers have only 4 hits tonight. They have only 1 base hit since Corey Seager's single in the 3rd inning. That was Puig's 1-out double in the 6th. So just 1 hit since the 3rd. Here is Seager, 1 for 3. These 2 teams back at it tomorrow afternoon at 12:40 start. Matchup of left-handers, Patrick Corbett and Alex Wood. We'll have that for you on Fox Sports Arizona. Then it's off to St. Louis for the Cardinals home opener on Thursday. So come on out to the ballpark tomorrow afternoon. We'll get you a matinee price on your ticket, dbacks.com. Pretty decent velocity from Yoshi tonight on that fastball. Neal, the right-hander, just up from the minors with Josh Fields on paternity leave. There's Mark Pryor, the bullpen coach on the far left there. We talked about him earlier. Former phenom with the Cubs. Boy, he looked like he was going to go straight to the Hall of Fame, Mark Pryor. A lot of injury issues.
And had mechanics that everybody said were injury proof.
Yeah.
I guess that just teaches you a lesson there about this game. It's just such an unnatural motion to throw a baseball overhand.
Here's Mark Pryor. Fly ball, pretty deep left field. Peralta at the wall, drifting back, and he's got it. Yoshi Hirano, a 1-2 3/8. It's 5-1 D-backs.
Dodgers this season, and we are getting set for our post-game show. Jody Jackson alongside Mark Grace out here on the plaza. And in the pregame, you know, you pondered, could Zach Godley out-duel Clayton Kershaw? And he did. So you'll tell us in the post-game how he did it, right?
We're going to say what happened with Zach Godley. He reminded me of Brandon Webb. And by the way, Brandon, nice job missing that marathon last night. A lot of ground balls and a lot of big outs when he needed them.
No question. Zach Godley was outstanding, and we'll take you through that. We'll have all the reaction to this game as well, guys, including we'll hear from the manager, Troy Lavella.
All right, guys, thanks. We'll look forward to that after the ball game. Here is the right-hander Zach Neal on to work the home half of the 8th inning. And Devin Marrero, who singled and scored to start the 7th, leads it off in the 8th. Neal has spent the last 2 seasons with the Oakland A's. Signed with the Dodgers in December, just activated today.
How about this, partner? We've been talking a lot about home runs tonight. Some long taters hit at Milwaukee. For the first time in Major League Baseball history tonight, a game started with back-to-back homers, Dexter Fowler and Tommy Pham, and it ended with back-to-back homers, Christian Yelich and Ryan Braun.
Wow. Milwaukee came back and won. Hernandez takes care of Marrero. Yeah, Dominic Leone, former Diamondback, had a tough time for the Cardinals. That Cardinals bullpen is awfully shaky. They did add Greg Holland, though, recently. Here's John Ryan Murphy. He singled and scored his last time up. Pitcher's spot is behind John Ryan. Alex Avila is in the on-deck circle. It's been a very unusual game. I always pause when your staff hands me a note with the headline, misleading stat of the night. Oh, aren't they all? But both teams today combined 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And here we are 5-1. Murphy gives it a ride. It's gone. John Ryan Murphy, a Diamondback homer, and it's 6-1. Well, the D-backs front office has always liked Murphy's game with the glove, the way he runs a game behind the plate. They believe there's something more in that bat, and we just saw it.
Tailing fastball just stays right over the heart of the plate for Murphy. Full extension at the point of contact. Right down that left field line. He knows he touched it off.
Right into the glove of Brad Boxberger in the bullpen. Alex Avila will hit for the pitcher. John Ryan Murphy, his first home run as a Diamondback. That's a jumbo jack. Free jumbo jack tomorrow, a Jack in the Box with the purchase of a large drink. Avila caught the entire game last night. He walked 3 times. 1 for 10 to start the year. Giants had their home opener today. They lost to Seattle 6-4. Mariners jumped all over Ty Block. Got 4 in the first against him. He was the Giants opening day starter. Pitched so well in LA last week. That one bounced up and caught Avila. Rockies are in San Diego. Padres lead at 5-3. Clayton Richard on the mound in that one. They're in the 7th at Petco Park. Boy, Alex Avila has been nicknamed Slow-Mo by some of his D-backs teammates. Jake Lamb, David Peralta picked up on that. You can kind of see why. He always moves like he's in slow motion, very measured, but he's never in any hurry. Little Mike Hargrove-ish right here.
The human rain delay.
He steps in. Okay, now we're set to go. Just give me a second here. Full count, 3-2. Look out. Neal knocked it down. Hernandez had no play. Avila's aboard.
Had a good carom that time. Many times a pitcher will deflect that ball right to one of his defenders. That time he knocked it away from a possible defender, and Alex is able to reach with an infield hit.
David Peralta has homered and singled tonight, 2 for 4. Taylor in center. 2 down. Ketel Marte, a bases loaded walk his last time up. He's 0 for 3. Batting left-handed for the first time tonight. Two outs, Avila, the runner at first. Dodgers in the ninth will have their heads of state due up. Puig, Bellinger, Kemp, 3, 4, and 5. Looks like Brad Boxberger is going to come in and pitch the ninth. He's ready in the Diamondback bullpen. I'll check that. TJ McFarland's out there now. Matt Kemp makes a nice sliding grab. Second time we've seen Matt Kemp make a nice catch out there. John Ryan Murphy with one out in the eighth, his first Diamondback homer. It's 6-1 D-backs. Start the ninth inning. CenturyLink brings us what's next, the series finale. We got to get up early tomorrow. The matinee game, couple of left-handers, Patrick Corbin and Alex Wood. 12:40 first pitch. Get your tickets, dbacks.com. We'll get you a price break, a matinee price on that seat. TJ McFarland, the left-hander, on to start the ninth.
I've got granddaughters. I've seen this before.
Please don't eat the sign. Puig will lead it off.
Yum, yum.
Look, there's a big bite mark in it. Hungry to beat these Dodgers, Bob. We saw TJ come on to work the eighth inning last night through 25 pitches. So a day game here tomorrow, then it's off to St. Louis to start the long road trip. Will be the Cardinals home opener on Thursday. Then stops in San Francisco and LA.
Well, that's TJ McFarland's bread and butter right there. That little sinker at the knees on the outside corner. That appeared to be a perfect pitch.
Well, if this score holds, the Dodgers will drop to 2-4. Kenley Jansen will have blown 2 saves, and Clayton Kershaw will be 0-2.
Wow. And I'm sure you'll hear the word early from that Dodgers clubhouse, and it is early. A lot of things can happen.
Nah, let's face it, they're done.
They're done? Oh, I don't know.
Of course not. They won 104 last year. I'm sure they'll figure something out. 5 consecutive National League West Division titles. First team ever to do that. Ketel Marte. 1 out. Mark Grace, Jody Jackson standing by. D-backs live post-game show from the concourse out here at Chase Field, right outside the Game 7 grill. I thought Gracie held up well last night.
Yeah, he really
I wasn't
did.
sure he was going to make it there for a while. He went out for snacks about halfway through, but he was there.
I was a little worried about Kate, too. She went for coffee, and Dutch Brothers was shut down.
She slept there all night. Woke up. She had a nice cup of coffee when they opened up the ballpark this morning. Cody Bellinger 0 for 3. Shift is on. Strike one. There's that big swing that Bellinger has made famous now. A lot of teams try to take advantage of that with breaking balls like we talked about. Bellinger off to a 4 for 24 start to the year. AJ in center, 2 outs.
Well, we've talked a lot about the humidor ball in this first homestand here at Chase Field this year. Two teams combined, first the Diamondbacks Rockies and now the Dodgers in the mix. 52 runs scored in this homestand. 23 of the runs have come via the homer. That's 44%. And I think you'd agree there's been several balls that probably should have left the park.
The Beat LA chant is in effect. Matt Kemp, last man standing. D-backs fans behind the third base dugout making a whole lot of noise. Baxter's got him going down there. Oh, and 2 on Matt Kemp. D-backs will improve to 4-1, and the only game they lost was 2-1 against the Rockies, and Greinke was terrific. Last night, 8-7 winners in 15 innings, 5 hours and 45 minutes. Tonight, they lead at 6-1. Yes, he went. There's your ball game. The Dodgers are 2-4. Clayton Kershaw is 0-2. The D-backs 4-1. They clinch a series win, and they'll go for the sweep tomorrow afternoon.
Nice clean game here tonight. Outstanding performance by Zach Godley. When his team needed a bunch of innings from their starting pitcher, he delivered.
And we close with the stat of the night. Last night, 5 hours 45 minutes. Tonight, a tidy 2:48.
Wow.
Jody and Gracie coming up next. D-backs win at 6-1.